Shannon. Now this is podcasting.
Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are ready for another wild ride, dude. Out of the Matrix into the land of the unknown. We're going to take you into a beautiful, I don't know, I'm out. I'm trying to, it's not worth it. I abandoned this bit immediately. Hope you guys are doing okay.
In the wild blue yonder.
Yes. You were right about the second recording, about me falling off the second recording.
You were like, no,
I'm good. It's definitely happening.
To the moon, baby, to the moon.
Yeah, it's probably fine. It's probably for the better that that's happening, because I feel like this episode's going to have some opportunity for me to say something obscene. So with a lower energy level, the likelihood of that happening will decrease.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's less work for me later.
Yeah. Guys.
Think of it that way. Less work editing, more time towards making shorts and things.
Yes.
Promotional
exactly.
material.
Yes. Jason is incentivizing me to not say something absurd, to rile people up on purpose.
Just certain keywords, really. You can
that's
say
true.
Absurd things.
Certain keywords.
Phrases
Should
are
I just
fine.
say them all right now?
It's the... Yeah, if you could group them all together so we just have one long segment I cut out, that would be far easier.
Yeah. Guys, welcome. Thank you for joining us yet again for another week of Work Hard.
We deeply appreciate it.
We do.
It's super cool of you to listen.
Yes.
We know you don't have to.
Yes.
We know you have a choice with podcasts, and we appreciate that you've chosen Work Hard this morning.
Yes.
Or this afternoon. Or this evening. Maybe in the middle of the night.
Probably you should go to sleep, dude. Just put it, if it's the middle of the night, put it down. You probably got something to do in the morning. Maybe you don't. And if you don't, you know what? All right. But if you do,
well, maybe they're working
my chest is about to explode. I should have put this Nicky in. Yeah, maybe you're working the night shift.
Did you put another one in?
No, yes, a minute ago. But
oh, no.
Yeah, now I'm regretting it. Now I'm on the moon.
You want some water?
No, I'm okay. I'll be all right. We'll work through it. I'm just going to keep moving. I'm going to keep physically moving my body.
And the microphone?
Yes.
He's going to have a lot are back background static.
Sorry, guys.
Let's keep not keeping his legs still.
What are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah.
You had an intro idea.
Yeah, I got an intro idea, which I think will kind of bleed into the point that I want to make here today. But the intro idea, so there's this concept. I've talked about it on the show before. I've talked about it broadly. It's one of my number one political ideas. So I talk about it a lot, which is that we got to roll back voting rights to something close to the original group of people that could vote. And the idea here is that women and low agency men have to make decisions based off of what's safe. And they have to believe things based off of what's safe to believe, not based off of what's right. Because if they make a decision and the group doesn't like it and they get pushed out of the group, then what are they going to do? But a man who can handle himself can be concerned with what's right because he can protect himself. He can get out there, fight off predators, hunt. He can do what needs to be done to live. He's high agency. He can handle himself. Even in a not even necessarily being banished from society, but just being punished by it. If you're a guy who can get things done, that's going to be less impactful to you than somebody who can't get things done. And so that's been an idea forever. And recently, a research article came out that just proved that scientifically. So here's the headline of the article, and this is not this is a research paper. Testosterone eliminates strategic pro-social behavior through impacting choice consistency in healthy males. So the research here was that there was a group of men who had their testosterone raised synthetically. So they were given testosterone.
Okay.
And then there was a group of men who were given a placebo. And then they were brought through a course of different decision-making processes. They were they were being watched while they did it in some instances and not watched while they did it in others. The men that had lower testosterone that were given the placebo altered their behavior based off of whether or not they were being watched when they were doing things, which is considered a pro-social choice matrix.
Right, and you're doing it for approval.
Right, you're doing it for approval. The men who had their testosterone raised synthetically did not do that. So
Did not care.
they did not care. So the key sentence here is we showed that exogenous testosterone fully eliminated strategic, i.e. feigned, pro-social, and thus decreased submission to audience expectations. So guys, now you just can't argue with it. Eliminated, by the way, didn't reduce, eliminated. So if you raise a man's testosterone, which is, and here's a big deal here. The testosterone level of the average male today is half of what it was 50 years ago. Half.
They're lowering the testosterone levels.
That's RFK. They're putting chemicals in the water. Your voice is making yours way better than mine.
Yeah, I can't do the voice if I don't have my laryngitis.
You should stop. It's going to destroy your voice for the rest of the episode. It's not worth the joke.
And that was me trying to speak normally.
Testosterone levels are half of what they should be. And that's not good, because that means that most men are going to be more inclined and more worried about they're going to be more nervous, and they're going to look for approval more. They're going to stand up for what's right less. And anecdotally, I can confirm that in my own life. So I've talked about being on TRT before. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure it out, but for whatever reason, I have a naturally very low testosterone level in the 100s, which is like dangerous. So I do TRT to change that. I went off TRT recently because TRT, it doesn't sterilize you, but it makes it very, very difficult for you to have children naturally. Now, there's all kinds of stuff you can take. Estradiol. There's a whole thing. You can actually reach peak fertility on TRT if you do it right. Whatever. You can go talk to a doctor, figure that out if you're interested. But I just went off because it's easier. I don't have to worry about figuring all this stuff out. But while I was off, I was noticeably more neurotic, noticeably less in control of my emotions. My decision making was noticeably more risk averse. It was like people could I was much more easily swayed, for sure. Like I'd be doing something and somebody go, why are you doing it? When you do it that way? And I'd stop what I was doing and be like, oh crap, I don't know. Should I? And so it was whatever. I got to a point where I just told my wife, she got pregnant. So I was like, I got to go back on it or I'm going to get fired from my job. I have to have the ham-fisted
the ability to do it.
Yeah, I have to have the
under
meat
fire.
Yeah. I have to. My job is always under pressure, so I have to tell people. I have to be mean sometimes. So, and I can't let other people influence my decision making. I have to pick a path, and we have to go on it, and I have to be able to defend that path. So, yeah. So anecdotally, I can speak to that for sure as well. So this is a problem. We have to figure this out. I think on an individual level, what can you do about it? I think it costs like $80 to go have your free testosterone levels tested. Now that's not going to give you the whole picture, but it's cheap and it's a way to figure out if your test is low. And I would say if it's under 800, I would consider at least talking to a healthcare professional about TRT. If you're young, it's going to be hard to find someone who will treat you. I certainly had a hard time doing it, but you will find people that will treat you. I would say the thing you do need to watch out for is testicular atrophy. So your balls will shrink and stop working if you're on it for too long. Again, there are things that you can take alongside testosterone that will negate its negative side effects of introducing it synthetically into your system. But you definitely need to know what you're doing. I'm not giving medical advice at all here.
He's telling you, go find out.
Yeah, go find out. Go find out for sure. I think
All that to say, it's complicated. You could
it's-
really mess yourself up.
you could very easily mess yourself up. I've seen a lot of guys in my lifting days mess themselves up doing testosterone, doing steroids in general. Yeah, just go talk to somebody, go get your levels checked, and if they're below, if they're like at 600, I would recommend. The doctors will tell you that that's normal and fine, but what they mean is that's normal for today. That's not normal for the historic state of men in general. Men usually operate between 1,000 and 1,200 in their free testosterone, like the nanograms per deciliter of blood. So go get it checked. If it's low, consider, you can do something as simple as estrogen blockers, which are actually pretty safe. Whatever. I'm not going to get into it. You can figure it out. You can figure it out for yourself. It is expensive, so prepare for that. If you're a young guy, that may suck, but actually, it's not that expensive. It's $100 a month. That's not that big. That's not that expensive for something that will dramatically improve your quality of life
And ability, apparently, to make decisions and
make more money. It'll pay you
exactly.
back that $100 in spades. So
all right, so
consider that.
definitively it's been proved low testosterone, your low T is going to make you do things, you make bad decisions.
Yeah, it's going to make you lower. It's going to lower your status.
Basically, your idea was voting status should be restricted to people with high T.
Yeah, with high testosterone, exactly.
And,
I wonder if there's some way to do that. Huh. Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually. So, moving on. You want to do couch cushions?
yep.
Let's do it.
All right. Between the couch cushions, the segment of the show where you might be looking for something loose change between the couch cushions and accidentally you come up with a video game or a movie or a book, an old one.
An old one you forgot about.
Yep. An oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
You want to, well, I guess I'll kick it off this week. You did last week.
Yeah.
My recommendation, that's me, Jason, if you can't tell with this voice. I'm Jason. I'm not a guest.
Yeah.
Anyway, my recommendation, I think I may have talked about it before, but officially this recommendation is Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of NIMH, which is a novel by Robert C. O'Brien, illustrated by Zena Bernstein. So O'Brien, it's a great story. I think what is this? It's a Newbery Medal winner. Anyway, that doesn't matter that much.
It got an award.
It got an award, and for good reason. It's not one of those awards today where you're like, was this based on DEI?
Did you buy it? Did you buy this award?
Did you buy this award?
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a good one.
Yeah.
This is back in the day when the awards meant something.
Yeah.
And it's the story of a mouse family who is in imminent danger because the farmer is about to plow over their cinder block house in the spring. And they got to move. And I realized telling the plot of this loose and fast sounds stupid. So, yeah, right. I'm going to read a story about a mouse family that has a crisis, a moving crisis. The Rats of NIMH that's the National Institute of Mental Health. This is what that stands for. So these were lab rats who escaped because they were being tested on. They were given injections in order to improve their longevity and their intelligence. So they learned to read, and they learned to use machines and tools and things like that. And they eventually escape from the laboratory and go off, and they are dreaming of starting their own rat society, basically. Mrs. Frisby had married a mouse who was in the same lab who escaped with the rats. Her husband has died, but she finds out through this process and gets help from the rats, but they have their whole backstory, and she learns that her husband was along for a lot of that stuff, and she just didn't know. He hadn't told her yet, since he's, more intelligent than her, and also, anyway, for whatever reason, she didn't know, but she finds out through the story. Very fascinating, though.
Yeah.
Fun kids book. My kids loved it. They've asked me to pick it up and read again sections of it, so it's got a lot of reread value. I enjoyed reading through it again as an adult just a few months ago. So,
yeah, I've said before, children's writing, like long form children's writing, is the apex storytelling. That is what a truly skilled, talented writer does, is like long form children's writing. That is That's where it's at. It's not like, listen, I'm not going to say Tolstoy isn't great, but like there's something more human about writing a good long form story that a child can read and be just as invested in as an adult can. There's something about that is the like apex development of human storytelling. So yeah, great recommendation.
Yeah, it's realistic in the sense that like not everybody survives.
Yeah.
There's danger. There's real danger.
Yeah.
There's real death. Even though they are animal characters, they are very, what's the word? I mean, they're very human, of course, because they're it's being told from their perspective. But anyway, good book, good kids book.
Yes. Mine is Cheers, the TV show Cheers. Old show. I watched the whole thing when I tore my ACL in college, and I was like bedbound for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I watched the entire show beginning to end on my parents' couch. Very good. Just classic, smart kind of wordplay humor.
Okay.
Very.
I've seen a little bit of it.
Okay.
Very little.
There's what's his face? What is his freaking name? Oh my goodness. He's the straight. He plays the straight man in the first season of True Detective. The like good old boy cop.
Haven't seen it. Sorry, can't help you.
Well, whatever.
We're down in the bunker today, so we don't have internet.
Yeah,
connection.
we can't look it up.
Can't look these things up.
I can't show you. So,
not in Ethan's outhouse.
Yeah, sorry. Which is probably better because my outhouse is echoey. So like all the recordings are real echoey. I don't like every time.
That's where it's from.
I think that because we're just whatever. That's inside baseball. I think the recording quality is way lower when we record from my office.
Near.
But the
well,
Cheers is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
All good. Cheers. Cheers is good. It's very funny. It's very wholesome. The premise is that it's an alcoholic who runs a bar, doesn't drink, and he's real like ladies man, and but it's not like
I think tall, good hair.
Yeah. Doesn't throw that in your face. Doesn't make it so he's like a womanizer or whatever. But he's got a woman that works for him who despises him and his like kind of bravado. She's a modern woman. I think she's college educated or something like that or whatever. She's like, I can do everything. And they tease that character a lot with this like very masculine like. He's not. It's like the way that in the modern era, the way that the masculine man is portrayed is like, very silly, and so a guy who takes himself kind of seriously but knows his pride isn't too. Whatever, he's got a good balance. That guy doesn't exist anymore, but that exists in Cheers. He's a very balanced, like he's a jock for sure, but he's not dumb. It's just like, hey, he's just he's handsome. He's smart. He's just a good person. Like there's just really no way around it. He's just good stock. And the girl is always like, men think they're this way, whatever. And he's like, you're about to drop all the things in your hands, by the way. Like, that's like the whole thing. So, and there's just good.
She's shrill then.
Yes. Yeah. And she's always like trying to henpeck him, and he's always got some quippy thing to say and doesn't care. And so it's really good.
That's funny. They got the regulars in the bar, right?
Yeah, the regulars. They got Norm.
Heavier set guy. Norm.
Norm. Everybody comes in. They go, Norm. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, and they
got his pint.
Yeah, the male guy. Yeah, and the show Frasier was a spinoff.
Yeah, if you hadn't mentioned it, I was going to. And my in-laws are more into Frasier.
Yeah, well, the guy who plays Frasier, I think, is a Catholic. Who's very serious about his faith.
Yeah, and he said some really outspoken things.
Yeah, so
he
cool.
even said some things about rapists. He goes, I think I saw a quote of his recently, and he said something to the effect of, if someone has to die as the result of rape, it should be the rapist, not the child.
Yeah, not the child
not the
Yeah, absolutely.
We should just kill the rapist.
Right.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah.
So support him. Watch Frasier.
Yeah. Frasier is good. It's a good show. So yeah, Cheers. Cheers is my recommendation. Old one, but man, it's good, very clever. It's got a good narrative. It ends well. It went on for a long time in the American style, just keeping television shows on forever. But it doesn't. I don't think it kind of starts to get a little stale kind of at the end, but they end it.
And they wrapped it up.
They wrapped it up.
They realized it.
Yeah. They knew. Good. Yeah, they knew they were kind of out of bits.
Writing on the wall.
Yeah. And I think you can go to the bar. So the bar is real.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can really.
It's not a set.
It's not a set. You can really.
That is super cool.
Yeah, you can really go there, and the intro are paintings that are the history of that bar, and I'm pretty sure that the history is accurate. Like the bar's been there for like 200 years. I think that that's true. You guys can look that up and fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that they shot it on location in that bar. You can go there now. The bar is called Cheers, and it existed as that bar 200 years prior to the show and still exists today. I think that I've heard that. I have not confirmed that, but I heard it from I think I heard it from one of the producers doing an interview. So I think that that's true.
Cool.
But look it up. So that's my rec. Cheers. Pretty good. Great to just throw on with the wife after the kids go to bed.
Yeah.
You can watch it for weeks. Good binge show. That's it.
Very nice. Good rec.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along to our main topic for this week.
Yes.
So
we got our first question.
Very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
We got our first email from a listener.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
Yep.
By the way, if you don't remember the email, our email is workhard@hyperpremium.co.
Yes, and for those who can't understand Jason's dying voice, that's workhard@hyperpremium.co, not .com.co.
I'm just going to edit out everything I say in
gotta,
this whole episode.
It's just the H's. You can't say H right now.
Yeah. Work hard.
Yeah.
Workard.
Workard.
Everyone's like, how do you spell that?
Yes, so we got our first email here. So we don't have the email itself because we're in the bunker, so we don't have internet, but we wrote down the gist of it, which is, so this gentleman wrote us in, he likes a girl, but feels very inferior to her, so much so that it's affecting his self-esteem. And he's worried that will damage a man's that sense of inferiority will damage a man's ability to lead in a relationship in general, and maybe even specifically in this relationship if that kicks off. So I think really kind of the thrust of this question is, what do you do when you are insecure as a man in relation to women? So,
what do you do then?
Yes.
I'm going to talk today about what you do if you were insecure in your relationship to a woman that you're interested in.
Right. Yes. How do you address that? Well, I think there are a couple things here. I think there's a couple things to talk about. Some of them are personal, right? Some of them are what can you do on your own level to address your own insecurities. Some of them are social or on a broader scale, which is part of the reason why I wanted to bring up the testosterone thing.
Okay.
At the beginning, and so I think top loading the less important stuff, which is the social stuff, and it is good. So we can talk about that at first, and then wrap it up by.
Are you talking more about like social class?
Yeah, social class, and where what are the tides of culture? Where are they flowing right now? And they're very feminine heavy. So women are naturally going to feel more confident now, and
emboldened.
Yeah, they're going to feel emboldened. And so we can address that first, and then we'll talk about, how can you deal with that? But then also on a personal level, removed from society, you're just a young guy who's, and we're assuming that the person who's listening to this and cares about it is young. If you're old, if you're like in your mid-30s, my suggestion is it's Protocol Z, do anything.
Go back and listen to our Protocol Z episode.
Just get a wife. If you're 35, just get a wife. Well, yes, okay. I'm being hyperbolic. within reason.
Eventually, I'll give Ethan enough time to come about on his own before jumping on him.
Yeah.
Eventually. Whoops. We've only been doing this a year and a half.
Yeah.
Give me time to figure out Ethan.
Yeah. So, if you're a young guy, here part of it. Well, I guess we'll speak to the social thing first, and then we'll wrap back around to that. So women are on a pedestal right now, and I'm going to say things that I've said this before, but I know we've got new listeners, so I'll say it again. I really am tired with the whole beating up on girls thing that goes on in the conservative corners of the internet and conservative, like, it's just exhausting. I think it's been like, hey guys, we get it. All right. Girls are not infallible. We understand that. So I'm on the side of not being negative about girls. And so I don't want people to perceive what I'm about to say as like beating up on women. They are largely not in control of what I'm about to talk about, and it's not their fault. But they're just existing in this environment. So women are like almost the totality of all social resources are focused right now on making women feel quote unquote empowered. And the result of that is that women are going to feel quote unquote empowered. Now the issue there is that even conservative women, Jason's roof is peeing right now.
The condensation is wicked bad in this place.
Even conservative women are going to be affected by this, right? So if you're, if it's hot outside and you're cold, you're like naturally kind of a cold person, you're going to be less cold even though everyone else is hot. Does that make sense? Is that a bad analogy? Like, here, I'll give you this story. My mom.
Is this analogy brought about by my house?
No.
It's warming up outside and the house is cold.
No.
And you'll find yourself peeing.
No. My mom is a faithful Christian woman, very conservative, and an amazing woman. But even still, she was raised in an environment in the post-sexual revolution environment, and educated as, you know, in a college that existed in that post world, in the liberal order. And so my mom, even though she's extremely conservative, the other day she asked us a question. She asked my wife and I over text a question about whether or not we could go do something, or I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, you've told this before.
Oh, I have? Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I said yes, and she texted back, Emily, ? And I said, Emily's okay with it because I said it's okay. And she texted back throwing up emojis. Now, the point of me saying that is that even conservative women today are going to be less conservative than what would have been considered a conservative woman 80 years ago.
So you don't recognize, the fish does not always recognize the temperature of the water it's swimming in.
Yeah.
It's been incremental, or you were born into it, and so you don't even know how hot the water is.
Right.
You're like, this is normal.
Right. Yeah. And so you're going to have even
so you, any conservative girls listening to this, you're going to have to fight harder against the society.
Yeah. And against your programming. Against
your feminist programming that you got, whether or not you think you did.
Right.
Just because everybody's like that.
Yeah. And so you're going to have even the most delightful, church-going, homeschooled girls are still going to have to suffer from the fact that they are inundated in a topsy-turvy world that elevates them to a level they should not be elevated to, and that is going to cause issues, even with, again, some of the most delightful, well-meaning, earnest church-going girls that you can find. So that being said, this sense of inferiority, I think, while it's okay for guys to feel that way, and I'll explain why in a second, that sense of inferiority can be inflated. It's synthetically inflated. It's not natural to feel that way, and the best way to avoid feeling that way is just to go, I'm not going to participate in this. But also there's another thing here that's a broader kind of social thing, which is that men have to earn what makes them valuable. Women have it innately. Women have the thing that makes them valuable innately. Women are valuable because they are pretty and they are fertile and they have excellent. Good pick. Jason just grabbed a good book.
Well, I was looking for the partner book to this, actually.
Oh, okay.
What you said about the young, what cured my wife of, my wife is a very conservative gal. Boy, it's a good thing Ethan's doing most of the talking this episode.
I kind of figured. Yeah.
Thanks for taking the brunt off me.
Yeah.
But my wife, her parents, she started going down a bit of a feminist tilt somewhere in high school, I think, or early teens.
Yeah.
And her parents handed her a copy of, the last name is Fugate, Fugate. And the book, I believe, can't look it up right now, and I couldn't find it on the bookshelf really quick. I think it's called Back to Eden.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think
Back to Eden?
Yeah, I think Back to Eden is.
And it's kind of, I regard it as the partner book to Richard Fugate. I can't remember his wife's name. So it's his wife who wrote the book to Richard Fugate's. So Richard Fugate wrote the book, What the Bible Says About Being a Man, which is a very succinct, and I think overall very good, goodness sakes, just summary of how you should behave as a Christian man and husband and father.
Yeah.
And his wife's book. I'm working hard here, man. I'm working hard. So I'm just gonna start whispering instead because that's the only way I can get the words out.
That is actually, you want me to turn you up? You just whisper the rest of the time?
No, I'll try this.
Okay.
His partner book, though, will, if you listen to it, and if you actually believe the Bible, his wife's book will kick you, young woman, young woman, there we go.
There it is.
Young woman, out of that feminist rut that you're getting stuck in.
Yeah.
So Back to Eden talks about how the woman should behave in a godly manner towards her husband and society at large. So, What the Bible Says About Being a Man by J. Richard Fugate, and the companion book Back to Eden by his wife, who obviously has same last name. I believe this one's out of print. I think the woman book is actually a lot easier to find, oddly enough. This one's out of print. What the Bible Says About Being a Man is out of print. I have a few copies. If you want me to send you one, you're desperate for it, let me know. I also, I actually exchanged emails with Mr. Fugate.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he gave me,
yeah.
He gave me in email the rights to the book to print it.
Oh, maybe Hyper Premium should print it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We could.
Because he said, just go to Amazon and have them print it. He says, if you think, because I emailed him being like, how do I get more copies of this book?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's out of print because I want to update it. But he's like having tons of health problems. For all I know, he's passed away by now. I don't know. This is a year and a half, 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
So you can't get copies very easily that are like less than $50 because people are gouging you online and eBay. If you can find a cheaper copy, pick it up. If not, let me know. Email us, work hard. Email us at workard.
Yeah, email us at workhard@hyperpremium.co.
And we'll try and get you a copy somehow.
Yeah, hey,
okay, 'cause I think it's important.
For real, if we get like more than 5 emails about this, we will very seriously.
I will seriously look into on Hyper Premium time putting this in print.
Yeah, and maybe
to
we
get
should,
into the hands of young. Maybe we should do it anyway.
Maybe we should talk to him about printing the updated version too.
Well, he has to update it.
Right. So I know
It has like stats in it that are old. I think that's the problem. The message isn't old, but if you overlook the old data that he's working with, the book is still solid.
Maybe we could do it for him. Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay. Inside baseball.
Yeah, inside baseball. So yes. So you're gonna need some kind of serum. You're gonna need some kind of cure.
You need an antidote.
Yeah, you need an antidote. So go out. I'm with Jason on that. That's as good of an antidote as there is. So it's a great book. I was saying that you are. Now again, I know this sounds harsh, but I'm just try to listen. I'm not. I'm a ham-fisted dumb jock. So please try to extend to me some. Just bear with me. have some patience with what I'm about to say. I promise I'm trying to say it in good faith. Women get their value innately. Okay. Women are very gentle and beautiful creatures. They can have children. They can bear children. There's a lot about a woman that adds value to society innately. Now, women can sacrifice that value on the altar of secularism and feminism, and most of them have. But there are a lot of women who have preserved that value. And so men are not that way. A man has to go earn his ability to provide value. You have to generate it. You have to get a skill. You have to become stoic. You have to gain an ability to regulate your own emotions and regulate the emotions of those around you who you are responsible for. And these are skills. These are things that have to be developed. So at a young age, it is totally reasonable to feel inferior to women, because when you're a teenager, or maybe even in your, definitely still in your early 20s, in your early 20s, your late teenager, early 20s, you are going to feel a sense of inferiority to women naturally, because you kind of are. You don't offer the same value at this point that women do. And that's why when a woman chooses a man at an early, like when you guys get married, hopefully young, she is making an investment. That's why it's like part of why it's a risk for women, because they are taking a risk that you are going to gain value later on that is going to match the value they offer innately. So
I can make it real anecdotally. Okay. For me, my wife grew up doing a lot more debating theology with her family, because her parents were converted. They were figuring out a lot of their theology in real time as the kids grew up.
Yeah.
And they so she was a lot more well-versed in theology than I was. I grew up in the church. We didn't do a lot of discussion of that in my family. So I believed it, but I couldn't debate it. I was not an apologist by any means. And so I was not innately a good leader, spiritually or otherwise. And so I would defect my leadership to my wife, and then, what would you like to do, honey? Or, we would get into arguments about something theological, and my wife is as stubborn or more stubborn than I am. And it was a struggle for me, because she was often right. She was correct, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And after, a couple hours in the evening of ruining our evening by arguing about something theologically, then I'd have to, I'd have to give up the fight and be like, okay, I guess I was wrong, which is humiliating.
Yeah.
It made me realize it lit a fire under me to be like, I gotta know better.
Yeah.
I gotta start reading books that are theological books. I gotta listen to stuff that's not purely fiction.
Yeah.
I can't be, all my media cannot be pleasure.
Yeah.
My media.
His media.
My media has to be edifying. This episode's turned out a lot funnier than we meant it to be.
This is awesome, dude. I don't know why people like won't record when their voices are. They should. This is funny.
Well, we don't really have an option. This is the last day.
Yeah,
editing day is Monday.
Yeah.
Last week we only got one episode.
Yeah.
We're having to record 2 weeks in a row. This is not how we wanted to do things.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. This is working hard. This is putting in the time when you're not feeling top notch.
Yeah, neither of us are, dude.
No.
Yeah.
First episode Ethan was. Now
now I'm crashing. I'm crashing. Yes, exactly. And that is the case. So it's natural to feel inferior. Now, back to the testosterone thing. It's probably likely, if you are dealing with a really deep, if your sense of inferiority is pathological, I would just go get your numbers checked. Go if you are young, talk to your parents, ask them if they can pay for it. If you are, in your middle to late 20s, do it yourself. But I would say that you could start there. That'd be a good practical first step. The next thing that I want to talk about is to kind of speak to, I think, when I hear this question, I get worried about this gentleman not talking to the girl because he's scared. I think that's the worst possible outcome.
It could be, well, fear from rejection is a huge one for men.
Yeah. But hey man, listen, talk about getting worth. That is the essence of what it is to be a man, is to fail and keep going. That's not the essence of what it is to be a man. The essence of what it is to be a man is to be sacrificial and, to be like Christ.
You're sacrificing your comfort in that case.
Yeah, you're sacrificing your comfort. Yeah. But a huge part of what it is to be a man is to risk failure for gain. I would say, and I know that this isn't part of the question, but I really do want to speak to this. If you are suffering from nerves around talking to a girl, you have to let it go. You have to roll the dice. She is probably going to turn you down. Just realistically. She probably is going to say no. It doesn't matter. That's not an excuse. You have to do it. You have to do it just because you're scared. Do it. And her saying no, if she's the type of girl that's worth spending time with, she will let you down very gently. If she's the type, and you will find out whether or not she's the type of girl worth spending time with, by asking her.
How she rejects you.
Yeah, how she rejects you. If she laughs at you, then she's scared and she doesn't handle her own emotions well. And so she's trying, that's part of how women cope with their feelings, is they try to make other people feel the way they feel as a way of getting their feelings off of them and onto you, making you responsible for their feelings. So an out of balance woman who's dealing with a pathological fear herself will do that to you. She will try to put her fear and her own sense of rejection and shame onto you by laughing at you or being whatever. And if she does that, blow it off. She's totally brain fried anyways. She's not worth talking to. So you have to, you got to take the shot. You got to roll the dice. But so I just want to say that. But I think to get to the main point of this question, which is to do with this sense of inferiority damaging or otherwise compromising your ability to lead in a relationship if that relationship kicks off. Here's the thing. Here's the real simple part of it. Your authority has nothing to do with you. All authority is given. All authority is given. It is given by God. It has nothing to do with how inferior or superior you are to the people you have authority over. It is totally removed from your existence. Until you realize that fact, you will not be able to exercise any authority. You can be totally calm knowing that your wife maybe knows something more about another topic or whatever, or the girl you're dating or whatever. You can be totally calm because it doesn't compromise your authority, because your authority has nothing to do with you. Your authority is given to you by the ultimate authority, which is God. His authority is extending through you, and no one knows anything more than God knows. It's God's authority that you are using, not yours. And there is no one superior to God. God is not inferior to any woman. So it is God's authority that you are flexing. It is God's authority that you are leveraging to lead. So you can just let it go. It doesn't matter that she's quote unquote superior to you. My question would be by what term, on what metrics are you judging her superiority? Are you saying she's more beautiful than you are? Well, almost every guy's wife is more beautiful than he is. It's a problem.
It's a problem if she isn't.
Yeah, it's a problem if she isn't. It's a problem. Most guys' wives are better looking than they are. Some guys' wives are smarter than they are. That happens. Some guys' wives are more assertive than they are. It doesn't matter. It's not the man's authority that's being leveraged here for leadership. It's God's authority. So I think that's the kind of the antidote to your fear here is, and I think that's ultimately peaceful, because even your fear about your lack of authority doesn't matter. You still have the authority. It's been given to you. That's why this idea of like arguing with your wife, like going back and forth with your wife, is a very modern idea, and it's retarded. There's C.S. Lewis very succinctly summarizes how authority works, and this is really applicable to marriage. There's a time, I don't remember the details of this. It's been a long time since I've read the Chronicles of Narnia on purpose because I'm going to reread it with my kids, and I want it to basically be new. So I don't remember the specifics. I don't even remember. Whatever, it doesn't matter. One of the kings is talking to, I can't remember which character, but they're going back and forth, and they're not necessarily arguing, but they're having a discussion. And then finally, the character that's subservient to the king says, "All right, what are we going to do?" And the king says,
Trumpkin.
It's Trumpkin. Okay. So Trumpkin says, "All right, what are we doing?" And the king says, "Well, what? You just had all this, that you just disagreed with me, whatever." And and Trumpkin says, "There's a time for discussion and there are time for orders. I've had my discussion. Now I'll have your orders." That
Submissiveness.
That is how it works. There's a time for discussion where you can understand your wife's point of views. You can assuage her fears. You can comfort her. You can get her to a place where she's ready to accept your orders. But there is a time for discussion and there are time for orders. I'll tell a story that I don't know if I've told before.
It is very important to take her viewpoint into, because she will notice things, especially in my experience, in relation to your children, especially if you have girls. She will be able to tell you how to be a better father to them than you would naturally be able to do on your own. So that's why there's two of you.
Yeah.
She's not there just to take orders. She is to be an advisor and a helper to you, to give you balance.
Yeah.
So it's very important to take that as balance, but not as orders from her. And she needs to know that it's not orders, and that she is an advisor and a support role.
Yeah, you ignore your wife's wisdom at your own peril.
Yeah, that is foolish. It is foolish.
Very foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be the one to make the decision. So
don't marry a foolish woman.
Yeah, don't marry a foolish. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have to be constantly ignoring her.
Right.
And overriding her, and it's going to be strife. So that's why you don't marry just any woman.
Right, yeah.
Because it could be far worse.
Yes, yeah. You can make
singleness.
Yeah, singleness. Yeah.
As bad as singleness is.
Yeah. So I tell this story to like my secular friends or my my evangelical friends to really ruffle their feathers, but especially in front of their wives, I'll tell them. And I told the story to my boss the other day, and he was like, "There's no way," dude. He's like laughing. So it was maybe the first week we were home with my first child. A lot of stress, right? Actually, not a lot. Not a lot, because
big adjustment.
Yeah, big adjustment, but not a lot of stress. My wife asked me at one point, she was crying. We couldn't figure out how to get her to stop crying, like first night. And she goes, "Can we do this? Like, can we even do this?" And I looked at her and I said, "We have to." So it doesn't matter.
No option.
Yeah, there's no option. We have to do this. And my wife was like, "Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's really peaceful."
My wife reaches a point in every labor where she will, they warned us about this in a birthing class that we took, and they said the husband is really helpful because they're outside of all that pain.
Yeah.
And that anguish that the wife is going through. And so when the woman will almost always reach some point of pain and discouragement, and where she feels like it's going to go on forever. Yeah. And she loses hope and loses sight of the end goal, which is having a baby in her arms.
Right.
And she'll try and give up and stop giving birth.
Yeah.
And my wife has reached this with most, if not all of them.
Jeez, yeah.
And she'll just start panicking and try and get up, and like you can see it in her eyes.
Yeah.
She's lost it. And it's my job to get a hold of her and say, "No, you can do this. You were built to do this. You are going to do it. And you're going to have a baby in your arms soon. You just got to get through this.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. And you can do it." And encourage her through that emotional period that she's going to go through.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say, like, guys, you got to be in the delivery room with your wife.
Oh, yeah. What, that would be crazy not be. That would be wild.
Well, I mean, they used to do it like that.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is true. They did used to
just bring the baby out like, "You've got a boy."
Yeah, that is crazy. Oh, man, the 50s, what a time.
I think that's very unhealthy.
Very unhealthy.
So get over your fear of blood and whatnot. You're up there with the wife anyway. You don't have to be a part of what's down below.
Yeah.
You can leave that to the medical professionals.
Yeah, I did look, though. It was a bad idea. I shouldn't have looked. So we're in the first week. My wife is in very distressed. She's having an anxiety response, which women do, and it's your job to get that under control. Help them get that under control. I don't mean to, it's with gentle firmness and love that you address women. But she's kind of freaking out, and I'm making a decision. And so we're going back and forth, whatever. I say, this is what we're doing. And she starts to talk again and starts to argue with me. And I held up my hand and I said, we've had our time for discussion. I held up my hand. I said, there's a time for discussion and there's a time for orders. You've had your discussion. Now here are your orders. Be silent. And then I walked off and went and did the thing I said I was going to do. And so I tell my friends that in front of their wives and stuff, to watch the wives just start seething. Like some of them change color, dude. They get mad. And the guys are like, they're not equipped to deal with that.
That's the society we're dealing with now, though.
Right, exactly.
That used to be the norm.
Right.
In a healthy society, that's the norm. Period.
Right. And women, you need to be,
each of you do your jobs.
Yeah, each of you do your jobs, and you ought to be sympathetic to women because
Don't do it in a heartless way.
Right. Imagine how hard.
Ethan didn't say, "Shut up! I don't want to hear the complaints."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was firm.
You hold them, you comfort them. Yeah.
Yeah, and there have been times when. There have been times where Emily said something to me and I've whipped around and I said, whatever you're about to say better be very important. Because I'm like, how did you just talk to me? I've said something like turn around with that tone, whatever you're about to say to me better be very important. And there have been times where she's been like, never mind. But there have also been times where it has been important. She has been like, which is also like, there have been really intense times with my daughter where we don't necessarily. There was a time when my daughter was really freaking out and I called you, but it was at night, and so you were down here and you didn't have any signal. Okay. But I called you to be like, I don't know what to do, and I was like, I gotta ask somebody what to do, and you have way more experience being a father than I do, so like I'm calling Jason. I gotta ask him what he would do. But we figured it out together, and I was walking into the room to do something, and I was gonna take charge and do it, and my wife went, Ethan, please stop. And so I stopped, and she just said what she said, and I was like, yeah, all right, you're right, and didn't do it, and that's
the ham-handed approach that men want to take, that I try and take sometimes, is not the right approach, especially with a tender daughter.
Yeah.
You've got to slow your roll with the daughters, especially.
Yeah, for sure.
You can go too hard on my son sometimes too, when he just needs to be held.
Yeah. So listen, man, can your authority be compromised? Here's what it is. Your authority cannot be damaged. Your authority cannot be compromised by your inferiority to your wife. Let's just assume that you are actually inferior to your wife or to your woman or whatever. Your ability to lead can be damaged, but your authority can't, because it's not your authority, it's God's authority. Now, what is actually going to damage your ability to lead is to what extent do you actually believe what I just said? Not by your inferiority to your wife. It is where do you truly believe your authority comes from? If you truly believe that your authority is attributed to you by the creator of the universe, then there's nothing that your wife can do or say that will compromise your ability to lead. It won't happen because you believe that your authority is transcendent. It lives outside of the material world. And what can you do? What can you do to address that? You can pray. That's what you can do. You can pray and ask God to deepen your faith. That is what you can do. That's it. Simple as. Full stop. So to address to answer the question here, what do you do when you feel inferior to a woman? Pray. That's what you do. Do not let that fear alter your course. You should approach her. You should talk to her. You should ask her if she'd like to go get a cup of coffee or something. But do not think for a second that your authority as a man has anything. Do not have the pride to think that you're in charge because you're cool or you've got whatever. This this inferiority complex compromising your ability to lead is the other side of that coin. It's the other side of thinking you're hot shit and that's why you're in charge. It's the other side of that coin. It's having, I don't know how, but it's some way it's related to pride. And so you have to be humble enough to admit that the authority that you have over your wife has nothing to do with you and everything to do with with the responsibility God has charged you with. So pray. That's it. You can pray, get on your hands and knees, beg for mercy, and ask that God deepens your faith.
Being overly humble or feeling inferior in some way is related to pride because your focus is still on you.
Yeah, it's neurotic. It's neurotic.
So it is pride. It's the opposite side of pride. We don't think of it as pride, but it's self-focus and thinking that it is up to you to achieve that leadership.
Yeah. I'll give you one final little tip and trick. This is a Jordan Peterson thing. So I talk to strangers basically for a living. That's what I do. And I am a very personable individual. It doesn't really bother me to get up in front of people and talk. It doesn't really bother me to meet new people. I make friends very quickly and very easily, but even I get nervous meeting people, new people. It's not an easy motion for anybody. One of the best tips I ever got was from Jordan Peterson, who says that if you are feeling social anxiety, whether it's talking to a girl or talking to a new friend or whatever, the best thing you can do is stop focusing on yourself and start focusing on them. And the way you could do that practically is, as they're talking, think, what color are their eyes? Are their nostrils the same size? Do they have a mustache? Do they not have a mustache? Count their ears. See if you can count the individual hairs. How many hairs of their eyebrows can you count? Are they smiling? Are they frowning? Start focusing on them instantly. Instantly, that social anxiety is gone.
Snaps you out of it, huh?
It'll snap you right out of it. You'll get and then you'll start being interested in them, start listening to them. Because you're so focused on their face, you may not even be listening to them. They'll think you're listening very intently. And here's another secret. This is a big thing for sales guys. The way to be interesting is to be interested. That is the way to be interesting. To be interested. People love me because I am just when I'm at work, I am a vacuum. I'm just literally just I don't exist. There's no person there. I'm just
absorbing.
I'm just absorbing what they want to talk about. They want to tell me about their kids. They want to tell me about their problems. They want to tell me about what they've got going on at work. Whatever. Great. Let's do it. People don't really know anything about me. People know very little about me because I don't talk about myself really at all. I ask a bunch of questions, and it's super, super easy to ask questions because as soon as they get done saying something, the last thing that they said, just repeat it in the form of a question, and they'll keep talking. You can go, I have 6 kids. And you go, 6 kids? And they go, yeah, their names are whatever. And then you can go, their names are John, and John. And you can go, John? And they go, yeah, it's a family name, whatever. It's super easy to do that, dude. Conversation's super easy. So if you're talking to this girl and you're scared, go up to her, say hello, start counting her freckles, start doing whatever. And as get her talking and just keep her talking. Just keep asking questions. When you get nervous, when you get scared, the thing to do is not to start talking yourself. It's to get them to talk. Get them talking. I just did it yesterday. We had a customer meeting going bad. Not going good. And I was texting my dad, messaging my dad on my computer while it was happening. What do I do? This is not going well. And he was like, yeah, you're going to have to do this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so I just, protocol Z, time to do anything. And so I just, instead of me going, well, what we do is blah, 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 and blah, 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 I just went, hey guys, just want to kind of interject here in the middle of our conversation. I know this is kind of abrupt, but are we getting where you guys want to go here? And they went, yeah, we're feeling good. We're doing this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We have this thing that we're trying to plug into. So I think we're kind of getting that a little bit. And I said, oh, this thing you're trying to plug into. Stop. No talking. And they just kind of took a beat and went, yeah, so it does this thing, whatever. And John spent 6 hours making it. And I went, 6 hours? And John went, yeah, man, it was a lot of work. It just did this, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. And, I did it on a Saturday. And I went, Saturday? And it worked. It got us out of the situation, and we got to where we needed to go, and the meeting actually ended up going pretty well. I had my dad it was recorded. I had my dad watch afterward. He's like, yeah, that went great. Good job. So, I mean, it's just, that's the get out of your head and get invested in them. So that's how you, if you're nervous, if you feel inferior, that's a great way to usurp that problem. So just a little tip trick there for you at the end. Jason, you got anything else you want to wrap up with? No. All right. Jason's done. Guys, we love you. We are praying for you. Please feel free to send us more emails. This has been really cool. Jason and I like this a lot. We like the exercise. We do want to hear from you guys. You don't even have to send us a question. You want to tell us something? Fine. Great. Send us some feedback. We love you guys. We are praying for you. Please find a woman. If you feel inferior to her, there's ways around that. Marry her, have children with her, find a church, raise your family there, build a community, work hard, work diligently, all to the glory of your Creator, the one and true living God. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.